Welcome to the Feeding Our Young podcast. Have you ever heard the phrase, nurses eat their young? Feeding Our Young is more than a podcast. It's a movement. It's a desire to see new nurses of all ages be supported and uplifted by their peers. And it starts with me. It starts with you. So join host Eric Miller, registered nurse of nearly 20 years and adjunct clinical instructor, and today's honored guest, me, Haleigh Gibson, and be ready to have your life uplifted so you in turn uplift others. Welcome to the Feeding Our Young podcast.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Feeding Our Young podcast. So, as I often do when there's things going on behind the scenes, I'm going to throw out a disclaimer, only because this summer is turning out to be just as fun as last summer. I won't get into details. I'll spare all y'all the boring details. But long story short, it's been a rough few days here in my household. And so if at all I'm not as upbeat or morose, I'd probably be more morose. If I'm not as upbeat as I usually am, that's why. But that being said, I'm not canceling on our wonderful honored guest today because she's incredible and she is absolutely worth my time and worth your time as well. And so with that, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the one, the only, Haleigh Gibson. Haleigh, how are you this afternoon?
I'm wonderful. Happy to be here. I love what you do with this podcast and with nursing students in general. So it's making my day.
Well, thank you. And you are making mine. Like I said, this is a nice little oasis in the midst of a storm, and I'm just excited to talk all things nursing and all things Haleigh. So we'll start off with all things Haleigh, and I won't mince about it all, and we'll just get right to the point. So, Haleigh, are you a nursing student? Are you a nurse?
I am a nurse. I graduated I got a dual degree from Eastern and WSU for my BSN in December of 2019.
2019?
Yes. So that makes me on my 6th year. Completed 5.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
As I've told people on this podcast, and as I've mentioned on this podcast before, anyone who started their nursing career during the height of the pandemic gets extra credit, I feel like. Much like dog years, right? Like
my first day as a nurse was either March 1st or March 2nd of 2020. So I do know 1 week pre-pandemic life.
Wow. So, okay, well, yeah, I have to ask it here, otherwise I'll forget. Did it feel weird for you then, Haleigh, when masks were finally lifted?
Yes. I started on orientation on day shift, right? That's usually where you get oriented. And so day shift knew my face. Night shift never got to.
Oh.
And so when I would take my mask off, people or see people at the store, they wouldn't recognize me.
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Oh, that's my coworker," and I'd wave. People would be like, "What are you doing?" Seriously, because the bottom half of your face makes such a big difference. So anyway, that was interesting. And then, of course, in the beginning, when it was you need to wear one, now you can't wear one, now you have to wear one, back and forth. So yeah.
Yeah.
It felt freeing. So freeing.
Yes. It was amazing to me to see just how much wearing a mask all the time changed the look of people.
Totally.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, you look a little different than my brain was trying to process.
Yeah.
Anyway.
My brain made your mouth way different than that.
What? Yeah, why is that? What is
I
that?
don't
Anyway, okay.
know.
We're going to spend the whole episode just pontificating about this very topic. All right, so Haleigh, where are you from?
I grew up, well, I was born on the west side of Washington in Seattle area. I lived there until I was about 4, and me and my sister and my mom moved to Curlew, Washington,
Okay.
which is a little town about 10 miles south of the Canadian border on the east side. Very, very rural.
Yeah.
And so that's where I call home. I lived there from the time I was 4 to the time I was 18. Went to school
Wow.
in the one school, pre-K through 12. So that's home for sure.
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine. I mean, I didn't grow up in a big city, but it was big enough. Like, golly, we had 3 high schools. Now they have 4. It's like, it's
Oh no,
insane.
one, I think the it ebbs and flows, of course, with people moving to and out of Curlew area. And the areas, like the geographical area is so big
Yeah.
for like the school district. I would say like 200 to 230 kids total,
Oh my gosh. Oh my
18 in my
gosh.
class.
Wow. That
You're
is
friends with everybody. You have to be.
yeah, and enemies with everybody at times, I'm assuming as well.
Yeah, you know everybody so well. You know their mom, their grandma, there's no escaping.
That's so yeah, I mean, so cool, and also it's a double-edged sword, right? Pros and cons
Yeah,
to all of that.
yeah.
Well, then the other standard opening questions, my friend. What 3 words did you use to describe nursing school?
Okay, I have these 3 words, and if I could have four, I would add one, but I'll do my top three.
And then
So
squeeze
my
in the fourth. Now I'm curious. You've got even me
okay,
curious.
so number one is opportunity,
Mm.
and my second one is connections.
Mm-hmm.
My third one is resilience,
Nice.
and the fourth little impromptu one is kindness.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to have you talk about all 4 at the end. Look at you
Okay,
sneaking in number 4. You're the first honored guest to have 4 words to describe nursing school.
I
And I'm sure
couldn't
there's
decide.
I, I get it. I get it. Because the following question I cheated on in our listening, in our Spotify playlist that we have here. I cheated on that, and I have 5 songs on this playlist because I couldn't decide.
It's
But
hard.
because I created it, I justified it. I'm like, if I can ever narrow it down, I'll delete the 2 that need to go away. But on that note, what are your 3 favorite songs in life right now?
Okay, well, specifically in the summertime, I am a reggae girl. I love reggae music. Um,
Nice.
so one of my favorite songs right now, I think it's called. I'm gonna butcher the name. I should have done my homework. I think it's called Orange Sky by The Movement.
Okay.
And I love it because the premise of the song is to not just live for the weekend. I love it because especially in nursing, if you only lived for the weekend. For one, you work some weekends, so that would not work. But you just do something that fills your cup, even if it's a tiny thing. Like right now I'm sitting here having my coffee hour with you. And that's, you know, like doing something for me because I that's my favorite part of night shift, just having coffee hour. Can't have that on day
Yes.
shift without getting up at 4 in the morning. So
True
anyway,
story.
another song that I love, and I'm gonna continue with my reggae theme. It's a Bob Marley song. It's One Love, and
Mm.
I love that one because it's nostalgic to me. Reminds me of my grandpa and growing up. I grew up in Curlew, like we talked about,
Hmm.
and I lived about a mile from him, and so I spent a lot of time on his
Oh.
porch, and it was always Bob Marley playing. So,
Oh, that's cool.
and another one, I'm gonna go off topic, not reggae. I love the Dixie Chicks. Totally not reggae.
Yeah, that's a little far from the reggae vibe for
It's
sure.
totally far, but um, they have good stories in their songs, and they're just so raw and real. So,
Yeah. Awesome. Any particular song that jumps out to you right now?
um, honestly, no. I wish there was, but I think I could sing any of them by heart. I'll
That's
spare you,
awesome.
but
Hey guys, stay tuned. Maybe we can get her to do it by the end of the episode. Just kidding. All right. Now, a few questions about you, then we're going to dive into our conversation about nursing. So, first of all, one of the topics I know you wanted to talk about was your fur babies.
oh
Who
yes.
are they?
So I have Henry, who I got myself as a Christmas present to myself right after I got my first nursing job. He's a little long-haired golden wiener dog,
Oh.
and I love him so much. He's such a good boy. He
Do you ever call him Hank?
No, I didn't even know that Hank was short for Henry until
Isn't
somebody
that
told
weird?
me. I had no idea, and somebody said, "Why don't you call him Hank?" I said, "Why? His name's Henry." And then
Makes
they
no sense.
explained Hank
Yeah.
is short for Henry. So no, I've never called him Hank, but he's probably 12 pounds and just a little rug with a heartbeat, really. He would go
Oh.
anywhere with me. If I could carry him around in one of those little baby wraps,
Uh-huh.
he'd be content.
Oh.
So I got very lucky that he's such a good, mellow dog because I got him right when I started working night shift. And anybody who's ever done that knows how big of a transition it is for your life. And if I would have not having a dog that would sleep with me all day and then I could leave and he would sleep all night if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been
Yeah.
able to have a dog.
Yeah, for sure. Oh.
And then I have Rainier, who me and my boyfriend Tanner got in summer of 2023, and he's a black lab, and he's the opposite of Henry. He's lots of energy and loves to swim, and but he's also really good. He also
Very
sleeps
cool.
with me at night or during the day sometimes. So he's also a better night shift dog than most. But
This all sounds very hot, having these animals all
oh
about
my
you.
gosh, yes, I do have AC.
So a couple questions more about you and your personality. What day in your lifetime would you like to relive?
There was a day where almost my entire family went on a trip to Maui. We were all just hanging out at the beach and having like a great day. We went for my grandpa's 70th, my mom's 50th, and my
Oh,
aunt's 40th. And I
oh
think
my
we got like
gosh!
25 of us to Maui, which is really wild. And
Wow.
it was, we had like gone on this amazing hike and then got to go to the beach and then had like a nice dinner after. And I was at a time in my life where I really needed some like good family relaxation time. And I just remember being so grateful for that day.
So I definitely, it sounds to me as though family's important to you, and that's just incredible. And I'm happy to have you talk about that again a little bit later. But kind of along the interest, I definitely am looking at the time, and I want to talk a little bit more about nursing. But before I do, I have to ask you because you look vaguely familiar to me. Do I like you look? I feel like I've seen you before, or met you somewhere before, or something. I don't. There's just something familiar about you.
Hmm.
Do I like?
I think I've met you, Eric.
Weird,
I
huh?
think you must be having
That's weird.
mistaken me for somebody else.
I
I do
do.
have a
I
face that's like that. People say that about me all the time.
Like they feel like they've seen you somewhere before that you weren't
Mm-hmm.
there. Interesting.
Yep.
Huh. Well, okay. Well, sorry about that. Maybe that won't even make the episode because that's weird. I lean into my blondness. So enough about that. More about Haleigh and specifically nursing related. So why nursing? Why did you get into the nursing field?
When I was in college, like I said, I have a sister, and we're very close in age, and she knew that she wanted to go into nursing. And so I was like, well, that's what I know I'm not going to do. Here we are. Uh, so I've said I knew I had the same interest. I love people. I love science. I love like anatomy and physiology and health. I love health. I really like to take care of myself and clearly others as
Yeah.
I'm a nurse. So, but I kind of like pushed that aside. I was like, well, what else can I do that's kind of like this that's not nursing? And I was going doing my prereqs at Eastern at the time,
Hmm.
and a lot of the nursing prereqs and the dental hygiene prereqs lined up
Oh,
together.
yeah.
And so I was like, oh, perfect. This is great. I'll just do this and it'll be the same. Wrong. I was really incorrect. So I did all my prereqs. I applied to this program. They have a very extensive interview process. I think they take 40 people a year in their entry. And so I went through this interview process. I got in, I paid my deposit, and I was like, well, I feel like I should be happier.
Yeah.
This was an amazing accomplishment. Like that, they tell us in our interviews, like, phenomenal job. This is a very hard program to get into, and I was like, why do I just not feel right? I just didn't have a gut. My gut didn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
Uh, so I forfeited my deposit, and I said, well, what if I just tried to go to nursing school, but I did something completely different than my sister?
Hmm.
Um, and so that was what I did. I went back to Eastern and I had to take two more classes. There was a lifespan development psych class that didn't line up and a statistics class that didn't line up. So I went and did those and applied to WSU nursing
And
school.
and here we are. Like
And here we
fast
are.
forward, now you're a nurse. Well, let's not fast forward. So you get into nursing school after and thank you for being open about that because there's two sides to that coin. If you follow your heart, you follow your gut, you follow whatever, yes, that is an incredible thing. On the flip side, it can be, I've heard in some Christian circles, they're like, don't follow your heart. Your heart is like the least trustworthy of all. And yet, what I've found is that those times in my life, and really, especially recently, you know what I mean? This compulsion to go from nights to days, and like this compulsion to teach, this compulsion, like it's that thing in you that you can't ignore that, and especially as it's like if you feel like, oh man, I feel like now's the time, like I got to do this. And to me that is a variant of following your heart and following your gut. Would that not be true?
Oh, it was completely true. Yes, follow your gut. And I say follow your heart and your gut because they're very connected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I connect the two. Follow your heart and follow your gut. It's your intuition.
Yeah.
Um, it was like it was a really, really hard and scary decision to make because I'm in college and I'm craving a career that does all of those things I talked about. I wanted to make decent money. I wanted to be helpful to people and I wanted to be in science. And so I had that right in
Yeah.
front of me, an option.
Yeah.
And to like give it up and say no was a huge chance because I'm like, well, I might not get into nursing school. It was a huge I look back and hindsight is of course 2020
Yeah.
and I wouldn't change one thing I did, but I think back and I'm like that was it was a huge leap of like faith on my gut feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was really I remember being very scared at the time that I'd made a mistake, and I soon found out I did not. And that was a great win for me.
Oh, that's incredible. That's inspiring. Like, and does that gut ever tell you anything on the job?
Totally.
Yeah.
If you have a gut feeling about your patient, even if everything clinically is lining up, investigate. Investigate your gut feeling. And you might then find something that turns that gut feeling off. Like, oh, okay, I investigated and now I can see why X, Y, and Z happened. But
Mm.
definitely, if you have a gut feeling, don't walk out of that room.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever because I get this question a lot too. Did that gut feeling that we talk about from a nursing perspective on the job, did that take a while to develop?
Yeah, it does. When you're new, a new grad, and you're learning, everything is a normal out of the normal. Everything deviates from normal because these people that you're taking care of, whether you're taking care of um, babies, adults, people with cancer and ER, everybody's coming with a problem. So
Hmm.
everything's not normal from step one. And so I was always just kind of in that constant like feeling of everything's abnormal and investigating extra maybe than I needed to.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, it takes a while to develop your nursing gut. I
Yeah.
think. I think it took me probably 2 years to feel confident acting on just a gut feeling.
Yeah. Where
And
you're
that's two
going,
years
so,
working full time, not just 2 years, like 2 years of working full time plus getting all the experience you can, even if it's not your patient, going into other rooms and learning, going to those, your go to people on the unit on shift, learning from them, learning how to trust your gut
it's
and
huge.
how to communicate. I feel like it's even more important to learn how to communicate your gut feeling to somebody else that needs to know. Communicating your gut feeling to the doctor is in itself a challenge.
What does that look like, practically speaking?
Like if I had a gut feeling about, so right now I work at Holy Family in their maternity center. And if there's something that is, which they have a little level 2 NICU, which I work in very frequently. And so we don't have in-house providers at night. And so you're always having this weird feeling of, oh, is this bad enough to call
Hmm.
the doctor about? Which is,
Mm-hmm.
I won't even go into if that's appropriate or not. You should always, if you have a question, feel confident speaking to a provider.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go. That could probably take up a whole episode. Uh, so, but particularly at night, and as I've worked there for a couple of years, I'm one of the more senior NICU nurses there, and so people frequently will come to me and be like, "Hey, is this worth calling the doctor over?"
Yeah.
And it's just that is one of those things where if you feel like you need to, but why? Can you explain to me why?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just saying my guts, I just have a weird feeling is not necessarily the right answer. You have to be able to say, okay, here's the clinical picture. Here, this is what's different from yesterday. I took care of this baby yesterday. They were eating all of their feeds and
Mm-hmm.
off oxygen. Today, I've had to gavage 75% and start them on flow. Something's different. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe we need some labs. Maybe they're, something we need to investigate.
Yeah. And I'm glad
Did I
you
answer that question or did I just ramble?
No, you totally did. You totally answered it.
Okay.
No, and I love that you answer it that way because, and drawing on the experience that my wife and I had from our very first night at home with our very first child, that is what I draw from that experience and I tell my current patients and families. I say, hey, obviously, if there's something that's not right, you're worried about your child, you're worried about yourself, there's something doesn't seem right, call your on-call provider, right? Like that is what we tell them to do. And I tell them, I'm like, if your provider has an issue with calling them at 2:33 in the morning, you can always respectfully remind them they're the ones that made their life choices. So,
Totally.
it's better to be safe than sorry. And obviously,
Always.
you don't want to be the nurse that's calling the doctor every time for, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know what the boy who cries wolf, the girl who cries wolf, you
Right.
know.
There's definitely a balance, and that's use your we call them go-to girls on our unit because we work in a extremely female dominated, which you do too.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So you should are your go-to person on the unit for somebody
Hmm.
that's going to work in a not female dominated. We call them our G2G, our go-to girls. Who are those people to you? And before you call the doctor, go to them.
Yes.
phone a friend.
Yeah. And
It's
again, like you,
never bad to talk it out.
yeah, and like you said, like coming at it with more than just something, and by all means verbalize that I feel like something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That raises the radar antenna. But okay,
Totally.
now what's the evidence that maybe supports what your gut feeling is saying, right?
Yes.
Like that whole thing. And maybe you can't find it. Maybe that's why you're going to your go-to girl.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, hey, I really want to talk to someone about this. I want to call a provider, but I'm not I don't have any evidence to that fact. So
Mm-hmm.
wow, we talked a lot more about our gut feelings in nursing than we anticipated. This is fantastic. I'm going to use that topic to springboard off. I just have a gut feeling. I feel like I've. You're sure I didn't meet you anywhere?
I This is my first time seeing you.
Huh.
I
All right.
really I really don't feel like I've ever met you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I figured I'd give it another shot. That's all right. So we'll just continue with the conversation then. I'm going to dial it back just a little bit. I wanted you to talk about your nursing school experience pre-pandemic, right? So
Okay,
that's
yeah.
good. There's no
Yes.
clinicals during pandemic and all that. So for the context, you had a relatively quote unquote normal or typical nursing school experience. So what were some of the highlights? What were some of the lowlights of your time in nursing school?
Um, I loved going to Eastern, doing my prereqs there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had a great time and met lots of friends who were also applying to the program. So I loved doing my prereqs and learning. I had some really great science professors there.
Mm.
And then going to nursing school, it was very inspiring to be around everybody that kind of had a similar goal.
Yeah.
So I loved being surrounded by people who they all wanted, we all wanted to be there. You don't go to nursing school if you don't want to. It's too hard.
I sure hope not, because I've never met a single person that can make it through if you don't.
No, you have to really want it. And so that drive, being surrounded by people who have an equal drive and goal, I loved that. And not even just nursing school. The campus is right downtown in the health science campuses. So there's people, PT students, OT students, pharmacy, med
Hmm.
school. All of these people have a drive to be better and to help others.
Yeah.
And so being surrounded by that was very inspiring to me.
Hmm. That is awesome. What was your first job right out of nursing school? What was your first specialty?
And my first specialty out of nursing school was high acuity level. I think it was level 4 NICU, and I worked there for almost a year. And
Wow.
I loved my job there. The learning was fantastic. Taking care of babies and families is really an honor.
Yeah.
And I felt very, very lucky and fortunate, and like all of my stars aligned when I got that job.
And that's coming straight out of nursing school. So the
Yes.
first question to that is, where along the ways of the nursing school process did that NICU bit come into play?
Definitely from being a nurse tech. I would say in clinicals too. I spent a couple of days in the NICU during my clinical rotations, and I really loved it. Where I work now is they call it an LDRP, labor, delivery, recovery, postpartum, and we have a level 2 NICU. And if you would have asked me if I wanted to work in labor and delivery or postpartum when I was in nursing school, just based off of my clinical experience, I would have said no.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I would have said NICU, but even then, I feel like the majority of my experience of learning where I wanted to work came from being a nurse tech and working in those areas. Nursing school does a great job of exposing you, but that's all it is an exposure. You don't really get to see what that job is like until you're in it.
Hmm.
And that's for all of the nursing students listening to this. When you get your first nursing job, and I say give it a year, give it time to make sure. But if it's not what you thought it was, that's the beauty of nursing. You can
Hmm.
find what you're looking for, I think.
and without wasting your time, because I've heard that too, like, well, gosh, I all this pressure to get the field that I wanted, right out of nursing school. And yeah, again, like you said, maybe you think you want it, and then after however long, you're going,
Hmm.
oh gosh, I might have made a mistake, this isn't what I thought it would be. You still
Totally.
didn't waste the time, because during that
No.
time you're learning how to critically think, you're learning how to evaluate your patients, you're learning how to XYZ, all those things you need to build that foundation to be a successful nurse, you're doing. So yeah, sure, maybe it wasn't, you know what I mean? And maybe there's a shock factor there too of like, oh my gosh, I thought this was it and it's not. So now what do I do? But the point is, go into what you think you want to do, go into it wholehearted. And if it turns out to not be that thing, like you said, Haleigh, there's so much lateral like movement. You can go anywhere.
Yes. Yes, and like it's your time is never wasted. I love that you pointed that out because the connections that you make, the patients that you take care of, the managers, those are all valuable experiences and connections. So if you think you really want to be an ER nurse, for example, and so you go to the ER and you start working and you're like, man, this actually wasn't what I thought it was. My perception was completely different than this reality. You don't know who you're going to meet at work or whose manager is best friends with so and so on the ninth floor, and that might be where you want to work. Don't like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of where the be kind part, the word
The kindness.
kindness, yes, my kindness word came in was you get way further with lemonade than lemons. Be kind, and you never know what opportunity will come to you based on the fact that even if it wasn't your dream job or it's a job you don't love anymore, you were kind to the right person and they're like, oh, hey, I do have something you might love. You just never know when that's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Providing an open door that
Yes.
maybe wouldn't have existed before had you have not been as kind.
Yes. Or just even interested or helpful or, all of those things that you can be even if you're not in your dream job.
So then, doubling back to what I said, the first question was, of course, where along the line did the NICU fall into play for you? Now, the second question being, of course, how as a new grad, do you have any advice as far as adjusting just to being a new nurse, let alone a new nurse in a level 4 NICU?
Yeah. So advice is communicate and be receptive. Communicate with your preceptor if you're feeling like you need an experience. Like you are in charge of your learning. You're in charge
Mm-hmm.
of your learning anywhere in life, specifically in nursing school, in your first preceptorship, in your first job. You say, hey, I don't understand this. I need practice with this. What do you think if about me, uh, you know, watching you do this first IV start on this baby and then I'll do the next one? Or, do we have a sim lab we can go to? Like, really seek out opportunities to learn because it's your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is nobody is babysitting you, making sure you're learning. Like they kind of did it in
100%.
nursing school, right? They all were like, okay, here's your paper, it's due. Here's, you have to meet with your advisor twice a month, twice a semester. Like they kind of do gracefully like transition you. But once you're out there on your own, you are you are responsible for your career and your learning and take advantage of all of that time during your preceptorship that you have somebody who's actually responsible for the patients. They have a nurse, it's them. They're teaching you. And so make sure you vocalize what you need help with and what you don't understand or what you feel confident in. If you're like, oh man, I'm with a preceptor I haven't been with in a couple of weeks. And so I've grown so much since the last time I worked with her.
Mm-hmm.
You say, okay, this is what I'm confident in. Watch me do this and let me know what advice you have. And another piece of advice that I need to take more myself for sure is to have thicker skin. Like have thick skin. It's not most people are not trying to hurt your feelings, but they are trying to keep
Hmm.
you safe and make sure you practice safe. And so don't take things personally if you're not doing them right, or if you need guidance, or somebody, tells you that you're totally doing it wrong. Take it and be receptive to it. And don't, you know, close that door from learning because it hurts your feelings. And
Mm.
that's advice
That
I need to
is,
take more too, for sure. I'm not denying that, but I have to remember that sometimes. And I think of all the learning experiences I've had over the last 5 years, and they all, sometimes it stings at first, and it's okay.
yeah. Yeah, the stinging is never pleasant, but like you said, and I want to touch on what you said, that second bit, when you first said both communicate and be receptive. I love that, be receptive, because there's a lot of us nowadays, especially, right? We talk to talk. We talk to I want to tell you something, Haleigh. I need you to know this, and I need you to understand this, and I may even have a question for you, but then I don't take the time to listen to your
Yes.
response, to listen to how that made you feel, to receive maybe the advice that I just asked for, because maybe it offended me, or maybe it hurt my feelings, or et cetera, et cetera. And I'm
Right.
saying that as a male nurse too. This isn't just a female. It's everyone is this way, and so please be receptive.
Yeah, be receptive. And I'm gonna touch on the listening part. Like, you know how much I've learned by listening to people talk at the nurses station? I'm like, oh, I've never done that before. Or how much I've taught people without knowing it by talking at the nurses station, or by talking around, like, in the clinical area about something that is your patient's doing. Even if it's just like a little trick to make your day easier, or an epic trick, or a time management technique. I'm like, oh, that's going to make me a better nurse. And I learned that just simply by being quiet and listening.
Yes. And I'm going to piggyback right off of that because, I'm a relatively new convert to days. We're going on a year and a half now. And in that role, I'm still also charge nurse. And I'm going to tell you right now, anyone that doesn't know, I'm sure you already will figure it out if you don't know. Being a charge nurse on day shift, especially in a busy postpartum unit where you have a lot of discharges and a lot of transfers, is vastly different than being charge on night shift. And I'm not saying it's you're a better charge nurse if you're on days. That's not what I'm trying to communicate. What I'm trying to communicate is there is a lot more happening, a lot more moving pieces, a lot more specialties. You got management, you've got everyone there with their hands in the pie. And in theory, you're the one who's supposed to not necessarily run the ship, but at least guide it through, safely through the waters. And oh my gosh, Haleigh, I've been a charge nurse for, over a decade and a half, going into, starting as a charge on day shift. And the leap is just incredible and painful, to say the least. But you learn,
Mhm.
and what I love about what you said is I cannot tell you how many times I'm like, these more experienced women who have been charged on day shift for, you know, in some cases longer than I've been a nurse, but in more cases, longer than I've been on the unit, or even, you know what I mean, whatever. When I hear them talking, or there's something that comes up, first of all, I don't have a problem asking them a question. But second of all, I love just listening. If I hear someone asking someone, your go-to girl, right?
Mhm.
If I hear one nurse asking another nurse a question, and because they see them as a leader, and I see them as a leader, you bet my bottom dollar I'm listening to her response to that question, and I'm evaluating through the lens of, is that the advice I would have given? Is this better advice? Can I add that to my, you know what I mean? Always be
Yeah.
willing to change.
Can I add that to my pile of tricks? And I'm gonna piggyback. I'm gonna piggyback off of your piggyback.
Double piggyback, everybody.
Uh, that be present when you're
Yes.
at work. Be present. And I'm not saying you have to. Oh, I'm gonna give 110% every day and never. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you are at work, be present in between, like, taking care of your patients, and you're at the desk charting, or even like, I have time to sit at the nurse's station and just visit with my coworkers and get to know them. It's incredibly valuable time. You spend so much time with these
Mm-hmm.
people. You get to know them. You'll probably like them and be friends. And
Mm-hmm.
how much better is it to go to work when you have somebody you like to work with? But
Yes.
be present, because if you turn, you're just like, oh, I'm just going to put my AirPods in and watch some TikTok. You are doing yourself a disservice.
Huge.
So be present, even when you're not
Mm.
being present for your patient during like a in their room, like doing clinical stuff. You can still that time at the nurse's station is very valuable.
Mm. I love that. And when you I'm gonna piggyback off your piggyback off my piggyback. But when and when you're doing that, um, yes, you want to communicate. Yes, you want to be receptive. And then like you said, you want to be present. And that's so huge, especially in today's society, right? What are we're all turning into the cell phone zombies, walking past each other. Everybody's looking down at a screen. Nobody's looking up at each other, all of that business. And like you said, Haleigh, you don't have, we're not talking about being 110% of yourself every day. You can't be that. But as I tell my students, bring your best self that day, whatever that looks like. And sure, maybe there's a shift, especially night shift, if things are slow and you've got a moment to just unplug and unwind, like at lunch, right? There are lunches, I don't want to sit around and talk shop with people. So if they're talking about or railing against whatever they're upset about, the newest policy change or this, that, or the other, and I've been guilty of it too. I don't lunch is supposed to be a break. And so I don't want to necessarily engage in that conversation. But other than that, man, if you're having lunch and you get to sit down with people, what I loved about peds oncology, when I worked peds oncology, one of the things we did on nights was we all lunched together. We had lunch in the report room behind the you can't it was a safe space where we could eat, talk, get to know each other, and then we just took turns answering call lights as they went off. And in some states, ours included, like you're supposed to have a legal uninterrupted break. But I tell you what, the lunches that we had together, even though they were interrupted at times, were vastly more important to the cohesion of our unit, to the ability of us to work as a team. And you just knew that the person who came in to help you in your room had your back. Because even if you weren't friends, like you said, Haleigh, maybe you will make friends this way. And, maybe these are people you can hang out with outside of, but there are other people you're like, yeah, no. You know what I mean? There's some people that aren't going to want to hang out with me outside. And that's great. That's wonderful. But as long as you know that you've got each other's back, that kind of cohesion is fostered by perpetually, as much as is possible, of course, being present. And this lands me on the last point that I was looking for, and that is that anybody wonder why nurses come home so exhausted and so wiped out? Because even if you're only able to give 80% that day, or if it is your 110% day and you're just raring to go, you being present for a 12-hour shift, an 8-hour shift, a 10-hour shift at almost all times, that can be so exhausting.
Incredibly exhausting. And then you get home and you're like, I don't want to be present.
Yeah, I need to close the doors.
I need to zone out and just not have a thought for even just 10 minutes. I'm going to have no thoughts. I'm going to go, that's my favorite thing. When I get home from work, I take a really long shower. And my brain, you think about one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. I look forward to it at the end of the day.
And you have to have those things to look forward to. And it's okay to be the way we're talking about. I've had this happen on occasion, even last night, because of what we're going through. I finally, I had a brutal shift. It was a brutal social shift, like a lot of our patients with a lot of social issues. And oh my gosh, it pulls on your heart because you're sad for these families. But then B, the practicality of, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Trying to work through this with the social workers and all the things. And going through this, and then, you have one or two of those families all the time. Man, we had north of 5, I think. And, our poor social worker, God bless her. But she's in and out of rooms and we're doing all the things. I was charged. And it just, I get home and I have to deal with some home stuff. And we're having a brief family meeting about stuff. And at the end of that, which was received well, I think, and all the things, there was good communication. At the end of that, I said, okay, here's the deal. I can't take another word from anyone. Not anything. I don't mean anything by it. I cannot be receptive to any other words because I've spent my entire day putting out fires, managing issues, helping people, and being present. And it was worth it. But I have reached my limit. No more.
Yep.
Haleigh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, Haleigh, man, this has been so inspirational. I love just like you're just bringing the A game. I feel like this would be a perfect place to stop. But before we end in our traditional manner, I feel like there was like one other topic at least that you wanted to talk about. What was that?
Well, I wanted to just kind of add on the fact that change, like we kind of talked about it earlier in our episode, like if you're not at the job or at the point where you're happy with what you're doing, how that's the best part about nursing is you can change.
Mm-hmm.
And even to take that further, there are so many degrees you can get beyond your BSN, or even if you have your ADN and then you get your BSN, like you can get your master's, you can go to get your doctorate. I think you can even get your PA from nursing school. Correct me if I'm wrong. You might have to take a couple classes, but I think you can. There's the opportunity to grow, and I've heard older nurses say this, like, okay, you become a nurse and then you just work your whole life as a floor nurse. No,
Mm-hmm.
you can get an advanced degree, or even just, you can go into management, you can go into education. I was kind of feeling stuck, and this is another follow your heart moment. I start next week at WSU in there as a clinical instructor. And so I recently got my master's and was able to follow my heart more.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a passion project. And even if I don't love it, guess what? It's okay to move on. Like, the moral of the story is change can be positive, especially if it's for your personal growth. And any
Mm-hmm.
job change, you're going to grow, you're going to learn, make new connections. I took a year contract over at UW this last year, and it was painful because I don't love change. So it was
Mm-hmm.
really painful to go per diem at my job here in Spokane and travel over there for a year. And my practice grew for the better in so many ways.
Mm.
So don't be afraid. Take change in a positive way. And I could say this about anything in nursing. It's an ever-changing field.
Yes.
And being positive, having a positive outlook on change will help you embrace it and grow, instead of having a negative outlook on it and then you're just kind of stuck.
So very well said. And I'll add 2 points to that. One being, we're not implying that if you are quote unquote just a bedside nurse and you work where you work for a long period of time, that you have not succeeded in any way, shape, or form. Recently released was a pair of episodes by one Stella Reed. Go back and look her up. But she's been a labor and delivery nurse for 3 decades in the same place. And she's satisfied. She's content. She loves it. It brings her joy. And just hearing the joy that comes from her is fantastic. She had no desire to, go up the degree chain or, that sort of thing. But what we're saying here, the thing we are saying is that, and I think you can agree with me on this, Haleigh, is that if you do decide to further your education formally in the form of advanced degrees, it opens doors for you that at the moment you want them open wouldn't have been otherwise if you didn't go for that advanced degree,
Oh,
correct?
you said that much better than I did. That's exactly the message I want these listeners to receive. And like, you can get, if you have that gut feeling that you need to, or you have a desire to get an advanced degree, you can get it. You don't have to use it right away.
Yeah.
It might open a door for
Yep.
you later, though. And I love
Yes.
bedside nursing. I will probably work at the bedside. And never, you can never say never or predict what your life's going to look like. But I have no desire to leave the bedside.
Yeah.
I love bedside nursing, and I wanted to teach, and I want to all these other things that you can do. You can do them both.
Yes. Ah, I love it. I love it. Thank you, Haleigh. So, in the interest of time, we're going to jump into our traditional closing questions, and you take as long as you want to talk about it. Not trying to rush you, but I normally ask, what 3 words did you choose? So, Haleigh, what 4 words did you choose to describe nursing school, and why did you pick them?
Okay. I feel like this is kind of like the theme of my episode. These words, I feel like we talked about them. We talked about them quite a bit, so I will try to keep it brief.
Mhm.
So, opportunity.
Hmm.
And that one is kind of what I spoke on earlier. In nursing school, the opportunities are there for you. You have to take them if you want to. Like, they're yours to take
Hmm.
at your will, but they're not just gonna. Nobody's just gonna hand you a job if you don't apply, kind of a thing. Like,
Yeah.
the opportunities are there. You have to take them. Your desire and motivation for whatever this opportunity is, you have to take it. So you were surrounded by all of these people that have the same goal and things. So get involved with all of these opportunities. Join clubs, organizations, be present in clinical, and the opportunities will be endless. And then connections. Those of you in nursing school right now, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. And those of you who will be in nursing school, you'll learn. The people in nursing school that you make friends with, you spend so much time with them, and the connections that you make are lifelong. My friends that I made in nursing school are wonderful, and they are wonderful. I will have them my whole life, and I truly feel like I couldn't have gotten through all of those study periods and tests and clinical hours and long, grueling activities that go on without making connections with those peers and friends. And I would say that even like your instructors, your clinical instructors, your professors. When I was doing my interview process to become a WSU clinical faculty, one of the people on my interview panel was my peds instructor.
Hmm.
And had I not, gone to her office hours and made a connection with her, she probably wouldn't have
Hmm.
remembered who I was. But it was just like you said, Eric, your face, apparently I have a memorable face.
I know I've seen you somewhere before.
Um, she was like, "Oh my gosh, hi, I know you." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I do know you. You're right." And she's like, "Oh, I had you in peds clinical. How are you doing? Like, where did you land?" Like, she was excited to hear about my, clinical journey. I haven't seen her in 5 years.
Yeah.
And so, but that was because of a connection that we made. So that's why connections is important. Also, you
Hmm.
never know who's going to be your boss someday. I'm going to throw that out there.
Preaching it. That's, oh my gosh. I tell my students that all the time. I'm like, right, you're representing your university, but more than that, you're representing you.
Mm-hmm.
And you may think you're never going to work here and I'm never going to see this person again. I'm never going to, you will be
The
surprised.
nursing community is small.
Mm-hmm.
So remember that. And then resilience is a word I picked because you can do it.
Yeah.
You, as a nurse, you have to be resilient. In nursing school, you learn how to be resilient. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have times where you're feeling like, man, I made the wrong choice. I think that's inevitable. You're going to have times where
Yes.
you're like, this is torture. This is just does. You have times where you're just like, this does not feel good, and you work through it, and then you get back at it, and you're like, I can overcome this. I can overcome this next obstacle, and that's going to happen throughout your career in nursing too.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's just times where you have to be resilient, and you learn how to be resilient, and then you're better for it.
Yeah.
And then the kindness, my fourth sneak in word. Um, be kind. Be kind to those around you. You never know what somebody is going through behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Your patients, your coworkers, your instructors, your friends. So, treat them with kindness because there's just no need to be mean. Don't be mean. I just don't do it. It will also get you, like, it helps you build those connections and everything by being kind. And also be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Say kind things to yourself. If you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself.
Ooh. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, and the kindness thing too. Like what you're saying, it also affects your heart, not even just to yourself, but when
Mm-hmm.
you're being kind to others versus being mean to others, like that has a lasting impression on your own heart. People are like, "Oh, Eric, how are you so positive?" I mean, which I usually am, but life is life and life will life. But when I'm usually I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do it because again, I'd rather be kind to somebody, and that includes that's management, that's
Totally.
peers, that's students. Because a lot of people are, they're like, oh well, it's management. You know what I mean? Like it's the enemy, it's them versus us. More
No,
often than not,
no.
it's
We're
not.
all, you're, no, maybe I've just been really fortunate. I've had wonderful, wonderful managers.
Hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
um, having a good relationship and being kind to them. They're nurses too.
Mm-hmm.
They usually have worked the floor, usually in the field of study or area of nursing that you're working in, and they possess leadership qualities that, they followed their heart. That was the direction they wanted to go. And
Yeah.
their job is to take care of you, take care of the people. Somebody told me this. I can't remember who it was. Managers take care of the people who take care of the people. So managers take care of their nurses.
Yes.
And if you think about it like from that lens in a more positive note, they're not here to ruin your life or deny your PTO or make you work on Christmas. Those are all things that you signed up for as a nurse.
Yeah.
Management's not doing that to you.
Yeah.
And they're there to take care of you. And if you open that door and make a connection with them, and maybe I'm a little bit naive, but I don't think most people aren't out to get you.
I'd say most. Yes. There's obviously
Most
you're
people
always
are
gonna
not.
have
Sometimes that
you're
friend,
always gonna have somebody.
yes.
Yeah. But no, it's in the course of life you're gonna meet someone who's after you. But otherwise, for the most part, it's people trying to do the best we can with what we've got in the moment that we have. So, Haleigh, what is the one last? If somebody tuned out at the beginning, I don't know why. You have one thing you want to impress upon the listener. What is that today?
I'm going to continue with my theme. Follow your gut and your heart. They're extremely
Hmm.
connected, and it's your intuition, and it's really strong. And the more that you follow that feeling, you'll become confident in it. It will help you in all aspects of life, in and outside of your career.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, I have to try one last time before we close. I swear I know you. Why do you look so familiar?
Well, I do have an identical twin, my sister I spoke about earlier, who works in the
Oh!
birthplace at labor and delivery.
Oh! Oh, wait, is her name Lindsay by
It's
chance?
Lindsay.
Oh, man, how did I not put that together? Golly. Sorry, everybody. We had that set up from the get-go. It's just fun. No, I, you go way back to when Lindsay's episode, which maybe you'll hear now, Haleigh.
I'll
She
listen
didn't
to it
listen to.
now. I on purpose, everybody, I'm going to preface, well, preface the opposite of preface. I'm going to end with it. I did not listen to I did not listen to her episode on purpose because
Hmm.
uh although we are very alike and she works in the birthplace, I work in labor and delivery right now and actually just took a job in the birthplace with her as my
Hmm.
AM.
That's that's not gonna be weird.
So um so it's, and this is, follow your heart. Just because your sister does something and you feel like you have to be independent of that, if that's not where your heart takes you, it's not where your heart takes you.
and you have a rewarding career and will continue to have a very rewarding career
Yes,
by not fighting that. And
totally.
so and my last end face instead of preface was that we talked about that in the forefront. Whenever I interview spouses, siblings, separate, whatever, it's like I'm not interviewing Lindsay's sister. I'm interviewing Haleigh. And that's a totally different concept.
Mm-hmm.
So I know Lindsay. Lindsay and I, Haleigh and I did meet once.
Yep, in the
when
NICU.
during your time in the NICU. But other than that, we truly haven't. I have not had the pleasure of interacting with Haleigh, and now I get to. So I'm so excited.
Yes, it's
So
gonna be
Haleigh,
great.
it's going to be amazing. We're so glad to have you on our team. And even more than that, I'm so glad you were willing to take some time before a night shift, everybody, to do this podcast. So thank you for dropping the wisdom, my friend.
I'm glad you thought it was wisdom. Sometimes,
Maybe when I go back, I'll change the word.
sometimes, yeah, this is just maybe some imposter syndrome.
Uh-huh.
I've not really been a nurse that long. And so I've listened to some of your episodes. I did listen to Stella's episode. And I'm like, man, she's been a nurse actually longer than I've been alive.
Right?
And
It's amazing.
so I'm like, man, why? She has so much wisdom and knowledge to share. And I know Stella
Mm-hmm.
personally, she's wonderful in and outside of work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But nursing students, don't discredit yourself and your experience. That's where I'm going
Yes.
with that.
And we could spend a whole nother episode talking about imposter syndrome. Go back. We've definitely talked about it on the podcast before. It's a thing. I just talked about it with my students, second quarter students at SCC this last weekend. Go look it up. It's a thing, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, I do feel that. Guess what? It never really goes away.
Nope.
And that's even with those of us that have been doing it decades. So anyway, Haleigh, have a lovely rest of your afternoon, and thank you for giving us an hour of your time.
Yes, thank you so much, Eric. This was wonderful. Wonderful experience.
All right. I'll see you in the birthplace.
Okay, bye.
Here's what's happening on the next episode of Feeding Our Young.
This will help too. Because whether it was helping them eat, fixing them something to eat, changing them, helping them get a shower, that kind of stuff, I was like, this is going to help. Just making those connections with people that sometimes have hard times making connections, not
Yeah.
because they don't want to, just because, I don't know, that's just not, they don't understand that process of making a connection. Maybe they feel that connection, and inside
Yeah.
of them, they're like, yes, I know this is a connection, but they just can't express it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So, but I love coming in and just being like, hey, so and so individual, what are you doing today? And they're like, well, I'm just sitting here right now. And I'm like, all right, well, then just sit there. Like, all right, you want to go do something? Do you need something? That kind of stuff. And I just absolutely loved it.
Did you like today's episode of Feeding Our Young? Want to know more about the Feeding Our Young movement? Check out our website at feedingouryoung.org. Would you like to be featured on a future episode? Maybe have Eric bring his unique brand of encouragement to your nursing students or nurses? Please text us at 509-666-5636 or email us at info@feedingouryoung.org. We're so excited to have you return to hear our next honored guest. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Feeding Our Young LLC. Again, that's username Feeding Our Young LLC. Until next time, be encouraged and go find someone to encourage today.